All right, we're live, guys. It's been a month. It's been a month
Uh,
since the last
Are we
podcast.
live?
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, yeah, we
We're
are
live.
live.
Oh,
We're live.
are we live?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Alive, alive.
uh,
Very good game.
oh,
Anyway, it's been a month. Uh, just trying to ease back into podcasts over here on this end because Freya is currently napping in a bassinet and Em's about to put the boy down. Freya is such a good baby, guys.
hell yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
But she is also
Uh,
my child, so she burps and farts like a trucker. So
it is what it is. You take
Hmm.
the goods with the
no,
bads.
no, it's all good because it means everything's working.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
just before we get into everything, I'm glad everything over there is going good.
yeah,
Oh
we're
yeah.
we're 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 so happy. I'll probably be after I get off here. I'll probably be up with her till about midnight or 1, so Em can get some solid sleep, and then we'll switch out because she really wakes up like every 2-3 hours, and she kind of has her days and nights mixed up. So I'm probably gonna watch Bullet Train tonight.
I'm going to feel like a child because I'm going to be finishing up a fucking Baldur's Gate.
Have you poked the Karnak?
I, no, I actually I romance Shadowheart.
No, I'm saying is if you click Karnak, eventually she'll say, "Do not poke the Karnak." Like apparently, if you click all the different characters, eventually they will say something snarky, like on the old World of Warcraft or old Warcraft
Oh, okay.
games.
I didn't actually know that. I do know that I have Minsk in my party now.
No, do you know
Uh,
who? I know Matthew Mercer's
yeah,
his voice now, but do you know who used to do it?
I don't. Who used to do it?
Jim Cummings,
Really?
Oh
Pete, Pete from Disney.
yeah.
That's
Jim
fucking
Cummings is
hell.
such a good voice actor.
But yeah, like every time you like, I feel like when it comes to, and we'll get to everything after I do this. When it comes to Minx, and once you get there, Spence,
Mm-hmm.
you'll understand what I'm saying. Like, I feel like with Mink specifically, they were like Matt Mercer, just go to town and just say some shit. And like I feel like that's what happened because a lot of his lines feel more improv than anyone else's. I don't know how, like, this is just a feeling.
Well,
Maybe I'm wrong,
can,
but
previous Baldur's Gate games and the comics, and then Jim Zub playing him, I don't think you can script Minsk.
hmm. Like he has a whole line. Okay, so the combat in Baldur's Gate is turn based, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like 5e. You roll dice, you get into turn order, and everyone takes their turn taking a strike. Fucking Minx has a voice line every time it's his turn. Like he doesn't say this every time, but every now and then he'll say it. He's like, "When are we going to get to the fighting? What's this taking turns?" He gets like really mad that you're taking turns on a fight, and it's like super funny. And I'm like, God damn it! They just let Matt Mercer run with it. I swear. That's what I feel like. It's really good.
Yeah, I keep seeing everybody posting up stuff, and I got in trouble because I thought of how hilarious one of the romance options are, and I thought it was fake for a minute. And I was like, I have to share this. It's real. Wait, I should have put this as a spoiler tag. Whoops.
It's fine. It happens.
It's fine. It happens.
No, it's
You
just
can
one of
go
those
to
of
Twitter
it's.
or X and get spoiled.
Oh no, it still makes me laugh because there are some very odd hand motions in
Oh
that
God,
scene.
it's
It's so awkward that all I can do is laugh.
no. I haven't seen it specifically, but I've talked with Claire,
Did
and
she? Did,
she said she initially like initiated it, and she actually reloaded because it was like,
weird. This is.
yeah,
I'm uncomfortable.
yeah. But generally, like, oh my god, like the characters in the game are just amazing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like blown away. But I'm
Oh yeah,
sorry.
I am just now just getting to like off of that the Nautiloid, and then I'm just like I had basically killed the dying mind flayer, and then I freed like Lazelle, who I'm probably gonna end up hating because I'm not liking her at the
Oh,
moment.
dude, just work with her because she is like a frustrating character, but she is also like a really good like it. Okay, so it's hard for me to like sit here and like recommend characters because all of them are so fucking good. But
Right.
you have to like put time into them. I guess you would say like Lizelle, without spoiling anything, really fun character, but you really have to like explore her backstory, and it's like holy shit,
I kind of get Sten vibes from her.
almost. And like if you enjoyed like okay, if you enjoyed Dragon Age Origins, and specifically Dragon Age Origins over any of the Dragon Age games, you will fucking love Baldur's Gate because it's like Dragon Age on steroids.
I know. It's just that I legit have no time. Like,
No, that's fair. I'm
What's
not
that?
saying you should play it. Yeah, I'm just saying that like
oh no no
that's
no no
my
no no. You're saying I should. You know why I'm not.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying you should play it whenever you have the ability to, and that's fine. That's fine. But anyway, I'm sorry we're diverging from our.
Well,
We're talking about
well, for right now, we're just catching up. We haven't gotten started on the actual subject because we had to change it last minute because I realized that I had kind of copied an idea without realizing it and felt kind of bad. So we're pivoting.
oh no,
We're pivoting.
I didn't even know we pivoted. I wasn't like just to be clear, I wasn't mad. I was
No,
just
no,
like,
no, no,
oh,
no. I just went.
Uh,
No, if we're gonna do this in 2-3 months, with all of us together or a bunch of us together live, then I don't need to do it now. So,
right. Right.
uh,
Got you. That's a good producing standpoint.
sorry, I muted myself for a split second because I thought I was gonna burp, but then the burp got stuck. So I apologize if it surprises me here in a little bit and
can't believe this.
Spence's gig. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about tonight is a bit of the spooky season. We're in the early part of Halloween right now. If Christmas can start 2 months early, then or Christmas stuff's already out now.
Yeah,
I will talk about one of my favorite holidays, Halloween, and that is the Spookies. A big fan of the Spookies and the spooky. I mean, also I'm going to argue it's Halloween season because Halloween Horror Nights has already started at Universal Studios, and
yeah.
they have a Robert Johnson haunted house this year.
Really,
Yeah, the deal at the Crossroads is what they made into a it's one of the smaller walkthroughs. Uh,
pretty cool though.
they also have one that's basically they stole Dr. Facilier, so it's like a voodoo witch doctor kind of guy that's running a circus. But Emily made fun of it because they have multiple actors playing the witch doctor guy that looks like a ringmaster, and he's yelling, "I, your soul is mine." It's like by the end of it, it's like 8 other dudes already told me this, man. So like, are y'all time sharing this? Like, do I get to pick who makes the best offer? Do you fight it out for me? At this point, I don't know. So it's they've got some interesting little ones, kind of trying to get away too much from the IP driven. I mean, like there's a Stranger Things one, and there's a Chucky one.
I mean, obviously they're gonna like throw some IPs in there, but
But for the most part, it's like it's mostly independent, like different little spook show type things, and I kind of dig it. Also, not gonna lie, as a fan of old blues and folk music, I kind of dig that they're bringing in the Crossroads because I
oh
found out
yeah,
I found out there's a whole lot of people that don't know about that type of stuff.
I mean,
Got you.
well, our group is kind of well. For one, we're from Louisiana, I mean, let's be real. Like, there's kind of a cultural thing when it comes to like the whole sell your soul to the devil, crossroad
Right.
blues. There's also the blues trail here.
It's more in Mississippi, though.
Mm.
It runs mostly through the Delta, up
Well, I
61.
mean, the Delta is a Mississippi, Louisiana, and then it's like Missouri, Tennessee, Illinois. Kind of just
Don't.
runs.
Why'd you have to bring that state into the mix, Chris?
Which one?
Misery.
Oh, Missouri. Well, we try to mention it as little as possible.
But Spence, you know, you've heard that story before, right? Or you've heard that
Oh
trope?
yeah, oh yeah. I have heard of it up in passing and stuff. I mean that I basically know just that just the tidbits of it and stuff because that growing up we never really did much of spooky stuff considering that my upbringing, but that the more and more that I get older and then I'm just reading more just into this spooky stuff, then I'm like, okay, I see you.
Cool. So actually, let's do that. Since again, this is kind of we switched last night. What talking about spooky stuff, talking about Halloween and all that. What was the first thing that started getting you more into kind of the spookier ghost hunting, cryptid horror kind of end of things? Like, what was the earliest time you remember and going, "This is kind of my jam"? Was something like that? Now we'll start up here with Chris because we'll just go down to me then Spence.
Sure.
I mean, okay. I mean, honestly, when it comes to just like cryptids and just spooky stuff, it's always kind of something I gravitated towards. Uh, I went to a magnet school next to a graveyard, and being in Louisiana, I guess there's like a osmosis of like spookiness. Or maybe that's just me, but I remember our elementary classes like looking for ghosts. Uh, I was always like interested in ghosts. I remember as a child, just like I'm not necessarily a believer nowadays, but like as a kid, it's always been a fascination of mine, and it's carried itself into my adulthood as I became someone who would always look for a horror film. I would. My dad used to work in a strip mall, and in the strip mall there was a. Oh God, I'm showing. Am I showing my age here?
Are you about to say
No.
there was a video giant or a Hollywood video, not just a
Yeah,
blockbuster?
Or
yeah,
also
Video Giant.
Blockbuster, National Video.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
video giant. Oh, those were the days.
yeah. Like I was in Ravel. Like my dad used to work in the Ravel pizza place, and like when he was clearing up, my mom would drive us up there, and the first thing I would do is one play the arcade machines that used to be in those places, but then I would just run down like the moron I am and into the video store and just look for the spookiest movies I could. And my parents were always the type of people that were like, "You can get what you want, just no sex." So I bent that rule. I bent that rule heavily, which is okay because I have some of my favorite movies. One of my favorite movies, Dawn of the Dead. I rented the fuck out of that on VHS. I'm old. I can't help it. But yeah, when it comes to stuff that is spooky and stuff that it just, some of my earliest memories are just, watching scary movies, watching kids movies that had spooky themes like witches and what is it, Hocus Pocus and um, God damn it, my dog is barking.
Yeah,
Uh,
keep going. I'm gonna go peek in on the little one in a bassinet. Just keep going.
yeah. Um, And it kind of just evolved from there, going from elementary, participating in the Halloween holidays, to just like becoming a horror fan and becoming like a death metal fan and metal fan in general. Who doesn't like a good metal album that doesn't have some spooky vibes about it? But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
since Hewitt's not here, we're gonna
Um,
jump to you,
I,
Spence.
I'm actually back.
Oh,
I
God
was
damn.
just peeking in on her because she hadn't made a noise. She is out cold.
I was trying to jump to Spence.
Oh, Spence wants to go next. That's perfectly fine.
I was just
Well,
trying to exclude you.
Oh,
I mean that basically that my experience with the spoopy stuff was kind of tarnished in a sense. I have a story that I had probably told this before, but I would tell it again anyway. I remember the first time doing Halloween. It was with just those god awful plastic costumes that had like looked like trash bags and the plastic cheapo mask.
oh,
That it was like
are
that
you
I was
talking
the
about the?
Roadrunner from Looney Tunes.
Are you talking about
If
like the
that doesn't show
mass?
my age.
Ooh, are you talking about
Go.
like the
What was
mass?
that?
Are you talking about like the plastic mask that if you tried to talk too much, you could actually cut your tongue on the little slit
Yes,
in the.
those.
I remember
Oh,
those. Yeah.
Yeah, that this was around like mid '90s or so. That then that we had tried to do that. I wasn't into costuming like I am now and stuff like that. But that it was kind of tarnished for me because that we had a went to the Boo at the zoo in town, and then that my dad he is the horror buff of us of just the family and such. So then that I just remember that we were riding on this tractor ride, and then that I was at the very end. But that this performer came on with just this chainsaw, and just scaring all of us and stuff. And then that he had grabbed my thumb, and then he said that I'm gonna
Oh.
get you, I'm gonna take you to hell, and all of that nonsense. And then I'm just like, me 7 years old, I'm like thinking that I'm gonna die or whatever like that. So it kind of turned me off from like spooky stuff until I started getting more up into, I wouldn't say necessarily like that the witch stories or anything like that. I would say more so around like, about I actually that I kind of would say actually more so around like that the Salem, like witch trials, Japanese horror, like that the Ringu, the
Ooh,
Grudge,
yeah.
stuff like that.
Uh, oh shit, what is it? Audition, stuff like that. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, then that, and it was just basically that I am not a big horror buff, but I don't mind it in a sense. And then it is also the fact of that, American horror, it just sucks. I'm sorry. It's just gore, just fest to me versus the more psychological thriller horror that like that the Asian community
Can
does
I can
very,
I
very
can
well
I
with.
can I make a counterpoint there?
Sure.
I like it and it's good. Look, to
That's
be
your
fair,
counter argument. It
like to
is
be
good.
fair,
I will give it to you with that.
there are some like I think there is a problem with some of the Western horror community where it's like, hey, we're just gonna make like a gory, stupid movie and that's it. And it kind of overshadows like a lot of really good movies. I've actually had to deal like recently, like especially with like the new Candyman coming out. I got into a lot of arguments with like the horror community over that, but yeah, I can really understand that perspective. When it comes to East versus West, especially when
Right,
there's like really fucking good Japanese horror out there.
right.
E-
And then that the
e-
thing is that Candyman was my. I need to stop saying it. I am black. But anyway, that I that that was my first experience with just horror for POC, and then I was like, nope, nope,
yeah, that
that's one thing that I don't mess with. It's like any that like any that like any kind of like summoning and stuff like that.
Oh
I
yeah.
believe that that stuff exists, and then it's just like, I'm not going to even touch that.
Well, that's also Candyman is one of those ones. The movie.
Okay, so far I've heard it 4 times. We need to stop
Okay, that movie about the man
with the hook and the
with the
bees.
Yeah.
hook and the bees. He is like one of those characters that is like embodies the sort of urban legend, sort of.
He
Uh,
is the first creepypasta.
Yeah.
he is a creepy pasta, but he's also like when he came out, he was very much a urban legend in the sense of like fairy tale urban legends. I would say
Oh,
It
yeah.
versus
very much.
real.
It also gives me the vibes that like kind of an Atalpa would be the situation that might have also could have led to the creation of some similar type entity. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
especially in the new one.
Oh,
But
yeah. I
Also,
mean,
also the dude who played him was just terrifying. Like I remember,
yeah. I
oh
mean,
yeah, Tony Todd.
that
Tony Todd is
he is
amazing.
a legend.
Yeah,
Like
he
that.
is.
I mean, that. Think about it this way: if that the folks from Final Destination have to basically call him in to basically be like a morgue person and say like, now that y'all all know that y'all unfucked up, that y'all cheating death, death is gonna come and get y'all ass. Because that's
God,
pretty much what he's telling them. And then it's
I
like, oh,
forgot he was in that, and it's so good. Like I remember he was in Nightbreed and the Night of the Living Dead remake, but I forgot he was in that. That's so fucking good. Yeah,
but
he was
yeah,
like
I
the
mean that.
mortician.
But yeah, just to like but just to like wrap things up so that Miro can go is that I am kind of still like on the fence of horror, but it doesn't give me terrible night terrors anymore as that it had used to.
let's see, yeah, I'm with you on that one, Spence. Uh, Chris,
Wait, am I the only one that's like
you're the
a
horror.
horror nerd?
You are like here's
You
my
are.
deal. I'll talk about horror movies and I'll talk about what got me into like the whole spoopy kind of weird occulty whatever's is I'm not the biggest horror fan of like kind of like Spence. There's a lot of the gore fest films. They can be fun. If I am in the mood for a very violent, gross, stupid movie, there is 1,000 of them made in the last 20, 30 years. But I'll gravitate more to the stuff from the 80s, like the kind of like the older grindhouse gore films. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre still has a little bit of a place in my heart, even though again I'm not a huge horror fan, or like the original Hills Have Eyes, those kind of ones.
Well,
No,
well, to be fair, those two movies actually aren't that gory.
I
They're
know, but
more just scary.
so I mean, I kind of gravitate more towards those, and I like suspenseful horror.
Yeah.
Uh, kind of like I'll say the remake of House on the Hill. Uh, that one or like 13 Ghosts kind of hit a vibe for me because it gets like really spooky and really weird and stuff in certain parts, but it's not like, hey, let's make a rope out of intestines. However, at the same time, I love Dead Snow, where there's literally a scene where someone is using intestines as a rope, and I find that one. Well, Dead Snow is meant to be a comedy, like, and I'm a big fan of more
Yeah.
horror comedy.
Well, well, okay.
And
Well, I'm gonna actually let you finish. I shouldn't interrupt. I'm
I
sorry.
mean, the thing is like the old classic ones. I remember being terrified of them as a kid. And now going back as an adult, I'm laughing at them. Like
Right.
why was I ever scared of this? Now I will say this: Michael Myers is never not scary to me.
Oh,
Michael
Oh,
what
My
and
about Dead by Daylight? Jesus.
Michael
oh,
Myers
geez.
is
Okay.
uh
Am I? Can I? Can Am I
Sure.
like the only one here that's like? I'm not a big fan of the Halloween movies.
I again, it's not that I'm a fan. It's just that I've only really watched the first one from the '70s, and that is legit scary. I've watched the first Friday the 13th, and that one's kind of scary, but or the second one where Jason's actually got the hockey mask. and here's a big like Frankenstein-sized zombie that's going to kill people. And the whole time I'm
Right.
watching it, and I'm like, this is just goofy. Like so much of this is goofy and silly.
I think
But
that might be why my brain is broken because I saw so many different horror films before I saw the original Halloween. So when I saw the original Halloween, I was like, this is kind of boring. This is kind of dumb. So I don't have that reverence for it. A lot of people do.
but uh no, so like a lot of the horror movies, like it takes something for a newer one to kind of hit the vibes for me. I will say this, I
Mm-hmm.
don't mess with like East Asian horror, like The Ring and some of those other ones. Like if we get into, if you get into like East Asian,
Junji Ito?
well, if you get into, oh no, Junji Ito gives me the
Mm.
heebie-jeebies.
Ito is good.
It gives me so many heebie-jeebies.
Oh,
Like the stories are good. Like I love the concept and like there's so much to it, but like he, because like it starts getting really, really like it. I'll say this: ghosts from like East Asian folklore are so much scarier than like ghosts I grew up watching, like on like hearing about and legends like European style. Like here's a spooky haunt. No, over in Japan, like they will legit kill you. Why? Because you made them mad and came into the house that you're not supposed to today. And like the Ring just gave me all the wrong vibes. And the thing is like there's so many movies since then that like what was it, The Exorcism of Emily Rose,
Yeah.
and it's like now everybody has to have the contortionist that walks upside down, hanging upside down like on all fours. You got to do all these, like there's like all these tropes that the original one, it was
You
spooky,
know,
and now
I
it's like.
can't do nuns. Mm-mm. Any of the horror nun movies? Nope. I'm just nope.
But
Mm-mm.
what got me into kind of the creepy stuff was when I was little, Discovery Channel was my babysitter during the summers. My mom worked nights and my dad was going to school or had just gotten his job at Lumen Century Tel at the time. So I was kind of left to my own devices a lot. And old reruns of In Search of with Leonard Nimoy would play. And so I'd watch Leonard Nimoy tell me about Bigfoot or The Haunting of Brown Manor or Loch Ness. And so all of a sudden I'm like, this is really cool. Even if it's not true, it's cool. But the idea that this could be there makes everything seem a little bit more real. And then that led me to watching stuff like Fact or Fake. Then, the obligatory, like, here's Ghost Hunters, here's Ghost Adventures, here's all the random ghost shows we
Ghost
had.
Bros.
Ghost, no, actually watch Ghost Brothers. It's on Roku. And
Oh
Mm.
my god. I was making a joke because we used to call
Ghost
Ghost Adventures Ghost Bros.
No, it's a ghost hunting show. Three dudes from Atlanta ghost hunt throughout the South, and they do a couple up north and one in Jamaica before I think they got canceled. But the very beginning of the opening is like, we got one question to ask you about ghost shows. Why everybody white?
It's true.
And I
True.
I started laughing at that, and then they did really really good investigations, but that's another good. And I started getting into the ghost shows, and then that kind of led me to, well, okay, people keep talking about fae, people talk about vampires, people talk about ghouls, and so I started getting to really kind of the spooky lore, the all the all the
Look,
myth.
the history.
Yeah, and that I really really dig that. While I might not dig a horror movie, like that spookier stuff that's out there, and then like, or just like that's weird and we have no way to explain it currently. Like anytime I hear that one, I'm like, all right, I am listening. I would like to know because I want to go through the process of figuring out what this actually is. Like I don't necessarily believe, but Spence, I know I've said it before when we've hung out, and Chris knows this is true. I am jumpy.
Same.
I am very very jumpy, and I have put a Hewitt shaped hole in a haunted house wall getting out before. I have literally made my own exit from a haunted house at a school. Uh,
Like, I
I
just think that it just comes. Oh, sorry,
no,
Chris.
no,
Go on.
No,
Oh, okay.
I was just listening. Go ahead, Spence.
Oh, okay. I think that what it is from that, that I grew up like not super religious, but I grew up kind of like religious, but we were still secular. if that makes sense in a sense.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, that we were always taught like right from wrong and stuff like that. But, you know, that we were basically, that they basically allowed me to watch anything I wanted on TV within reason. Reason, because that my dad, he would have this weird just mask of like that this I guess a witch doctor or whatever, and he would spook me every single time with it. And then that, going back to like that the topic about horror movies a little bit, is that Chucky, I was not scared of Chucky. I would just football punt Chucky. I just, but however, that if that they would have leaned just more up into that the hoodoo aspect of Chucky, it will probably be a different story, because that we can just all agree that Chucky is that the laughing stock of that the horror of just that the horror rogues gallery. Am I right?
I've never been a fan of Chucky, honestly. Yeah.
Chucky, no, but I will say this: Chucky opened the door for some really silly horror movies.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
the
there's that
like
later.
the Ginger Dead Man
Yeah.
and the Evil Bong.
Like when it came to like horror movies, oh my god, Artax, you bark. Uh, I'm sorry if y'all hear that. When it comes to like later Chucky movies, those were fun because they weren't taking it seriously. But I cannot watch the old Chuckies because they were
No,
like, yeah,
there is one reason to watch the original, or it might have been the second Chucky movie. There's a reason. The number of scenes where they either have a small child or a little person in a Chucky costume for
oh yeah,
outside
okay, yeah.
outside running scene. So all of a sudden Chucky goes from being like an 18-inch doll to like 3 feet tall running by a playset.
You see, I'm fine with that.
And
But
it just looks like a mutated Cabbage Patch.
okay, so uh, if y'all don't mind me going, uh, when it comes to horror, as a like someone who has been into horror, I kind of had like a similar like upbringing to you, Spence, where
Mm-hmm.
it was like uh, there was religion there, but there was a lot of secular sort of upbringing in terms of like just be a good person generally. You know, God is a thing. Bible is a thing, but there was like there was like a lot of like things that were separate. So my parents generally were just like, as long as it didn't, like, I guess it's like a southern thing. It's like, as long as they don't have sex in it, as long as there's no boobies. Which is weird because Dawn of the Dead had one topless scene. It's very slim, but I guess that's why I got away with it because it was there for like half a second and then it's gone. Uh, but when it comes to when I was growing up with horror films, I think it was kind of an escape for me because I was always a weird kid. I was always a weirdo, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just, you know, uh, you grow up. Not everyone has like the best time figuring things out, but for me, like a bit of solace was always horror movies because it was always about like someone going through something just awful and then kind of figuring it out, right? Even when it was like a bittersweet ending. Um, it was actually only until my teens that I actually liked certain horror movies like Pet Cemetery, which is actually one of my favorite movies now, that has like kind of a bad ending because everyone pretty much dies at the end. That I started to appreciate that more, but like something like Dawn of the Dead, Evil Dead 2, favorite movie through and through. Like I watched that movie when I was like way too young for it. Still one of my favorite movies. But like I think that's one of the things I like. It's like people going into like really precarious situations where I guess at the time I was thinking that like fuck, I was going through a rough time, socially, socially awkward kid, and watching the characters on whatever movie I was watching go through something not similar, but something worse, maybe, and then kind of like persevering and moving on. It was a really cool experience, and then it turned me into a metalhead. I don't know where that joins in. I don't know where the horror movie to dying fetus pipeline matches in, but like I that's kind of my feeling on it.
Hey guys, keep going. I got a baby right now.
Oh no!
Okay.
She's
Well,
a little grumpy. Y'all keep going. I'll be right back.
okay. Well,
Oh,
well then I guess then that on just at that topic for me that I still to this day still kind of get antsy whenever that I want to watch a horror movie, but if I am with friends, that they kind of give me that courage to just do so because I know it's fake, but I don't want to relive those night terrors I used to have because I remember that the story that we were basically watching Darkness Falls in seventh grade. For those that don't know, that this movie is basically about that the tooth fairy myth or whatever. Basically, that this lady tried to do something nice for her village. They burned her because that they thought she was a witch, and she ended up cursing people by becoming that this entity of darkness or whatever.
I
It's a
remember that. Yeah.
and then it is a decent scary movie that if that you are into basically, like that the thing that creeps in the night. So I was deathly afraid of the dark for like weeks. Like night terrors, I had to have the night light on and stuff like that. Until that my dad came home one night from hanging out and then he was like, "Son, come here, son." And then he literally shadow boxed me in the dark because that we had this oven at the time that had this green light. So he literally trained me how to see in the dark. So he had got me over that fear of the dark, like just like that.
That's
Uh,
fucking awesome, though.
I've got back. What did I miss?
Yeah, so
Like
then that I can literally see in the dark.
Oh,
Like no lie. Like no lie. If that there
that.
is like a single bit of like a light source, I can tell you that why which direction something would just go and such. And then that's thanks to my dad for breaking that fear out of me of the dark because of Darkness Falls had caused me to be 14 years old still sleeping with just a nightlight because that I did not want the tooth fairy thing or whatever that creature was of that movie. But it kind of just segue up into a question for y'all. Because that I am not the biggest horror buff or anything like that, but have my monster of the week games been scary for y'all?
um, they've been suspenseful. They've been
Yeah,
suspenseful. The reason I'll say that is, uh, the Dead by Dawn or the Dead by Daylight, whatever what is the actual
Dead
game?
by Daylight. Yeah,
Dead by Daylight?
Dead
Dead.
by Dawn is the second iteration of Evil Dead. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I have Evil Dead facts in my head.
Oh no, that was going to be something I was going to get to later. But it's I've seen so many horror movie tropes, and I've used so many horror movie tropes in games that it's more of solve the riddle than be scared. And ooh,
Mm-hmm.
this is tough. Like, not gonna lie, when your mid boss has more health than the Prince of Hell that is in the textbook of, or in the game book for, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Monster of the Week, it makes everything just a little bit more dangerous. But also, all the boss fights you've thrown at us, there's a catch,
Hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
just learning what the catch is what's important, because just beating something into submission in your games is not necessarily the best way forward. Like
Yeah.
the
I
one
think that's good. Yeah.
with when we did the one with just me and NASA for the fundraiser back earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were a little surprised, like, no, we ain't gonna fight that. That thing is 100% in the right. That thing is 100% in the right. We're now on the monster side. So,
Yeah,
however,
and
I
that's how I wanted it to be. That in just that extent, because
think.
y'all would not have survived that fight. That thing had like 30 harm damage threshold.
Oh. Oh
he
no.
he threw a literal Native American god slash demigod at us.
This is what I'll say with the few games I've played on Monster of the Week with my good boy. I can't remember his name. Uh, he is a coroner. Uh, I love the game, and I think there is something in that game that I remember distinctly that I think everyone should do in terms of horror movies is hold back on your knowledge in terms of your players. So what I mean is that like if you have like a monster that has an ever expanding universe or it
Mm-hmm.
has an ever you have all these things that it could be or like this string of like lore that you hold it back, and that's what it really felt like in that game because like I didn't know what the fuck was going on, and that is great. Like a- when you're in a horror film or if you're in a horror situation, the scariest thing about it is like you don't know what's going on.
It looks like a horse.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm sitting there, like as a quarter, I'm looking at the bodies, and then I see something trying to like grab at me. I don't know what it is. That's scarier than being like, oh yeah, it's a ghoul.
Well, I mean,
Well,
it's the big thing. Like let's take the movie It, like the original
Mm-hmm.
version of the movie It with Tim Curry.
or
Pennywise.
just the new one. The new one, I actually like the new one better
Well,
than just the third.
I haven't seen the new duos or the new
Yeah, the
du,
new
du,
films.
yeah the new twins because I just it takes a lot to get me to pay money to go to a movie. But uh, Pennywise was way scarier before you know what Pennywise is.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
when all
Yeah,
of a sudden at the end it is that, and
and
I'm not gonna say because I mean I'm not spoiling a 40-year-old movie, but I don't want to say it because I mean it's got to be in the new ones too. But I mean it's not.
well, it's a lot better handled in the new
Well,
ones,
also
but
like Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah.
yeah,
Jeepers
Ugh.
Creepers
yeah.
was terrifying.
Well, I won't
Uh,
support Jeepers Creepers for other reasons, but
I'm just saying is
Right.
I saw the first one, but Jeepers Creepers was terrifying until the last 15 minutes of the movie, and then it just became another monster flick.
oh yeah, definitely. And I think that's what I really liked about playing and your game, Spence. Is I don't want to be like I don't want to have characters that are like completely. Okay, so there's two ways to do it. One, you constantly hold back knowledge, or two, you just don't bother to explain anything. So
I very much support that second one. I've done that a lot.
yeah, like well that was the thing, and I think you played in my Incognita game, Spence, where it
Yes.
was just
Mm-hmm.
like things just happened, and y'all just were like, okay, that's happening. That's a thing that's happening.
That's
We're
is
not. We
that,
don't.
that's the millennial response to everything,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Chris.
it just happens. Let's just deal with it.
Yeah. Uh, so like we had a character just jump through a TV to try and fight the person that killed his family, the Axeman, which turned out to be like some sort of interstellar being that was like able
It
to
it was the game.
manipulate reality.
It's the game show.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was the game show, and like it was one of the things that like I do is like just if you're gonna throw something at the wall, I'm gonna see how I can get it to stick basically.
that
The-
you had got me whenever that the professor had used his weird to look back in time, and then that the Axeman broke that fourth wall and like, oh hi there neighbor, what you looking at? And then he came and charged at me.
Yeah,
That's
oh
good
my god, that
storytelling
was
on
so
your part.
good. Like, I just love that moment because I think, okay, like, not to gas myself up, but that was a great moment because everyone at the table was like, what the fuck is going on? Now, you were like, so, okay, just to set the scene, like Spence said, he had, gone into one of our players' memories to kind of like look and see what was going on and was playing out. And then suddenly the character started talking to Spence, and it was like a what the fuck moment at the table. That's some good, like, not to gas myself up, that's some good horror right there, where it's like a bait and switch sort of situation, or where it's like suddenly the rules have changed.
I
Like,
mean, but
what?
that's kind of like what I got with the film Get Out too. You know,
Oh,
that not to
film
like
Get Out is so good.
I
just
need.
basically like basically like take away from that the conversation here. But spoilers, you can skip ahead for like 40 minutes or something. It was that the scene that whenever that Chris was asking Rose, just Rose, the keys, and then it's like, wait, you had thought she was on his side the entire time, but she actually wasn't. And then that
Oh
the whole
yeah.
Cheerios scene, oh, the separate like anybody that ever eats Fruit Loops like that is just insane anyway, because you don't eat cereal like that.
No.
Yeah, there's like such little things like, oh my god, now I gotta watch Get Out again. I gotta watch
Well,
the rest of his fucking films. Holy shit.
Yeah, that I
yeah.
still need to watch Us and Nope. Oh, Nope was so
I I've had Nope ruined for me to where I don't have to watch it, but I still love everything that I had the entire plot ruined for me by a kid, and the whole time I'm listening, going, "This is a great story. I love this." The ending's kind of weird, but I still love it because the thing is that while that might not leave you as the watcher with like any level of like there was resolution or something happened, it's just I kind of like movies where it just ends with something like what you thought was going to be like, oh, we got to have this big epic moment. No, no, you don't have to have a big epic moment. Kind of like
I'll be right back.
in Time Bandits. Mom, Dad, it's evil, and then they blow up, and that's the end of the movie. And it's like, and hashtag spoilers, I guess, for like a definitely a 40-year-old movie, or nearly 40-year-old movie.
hmm I'm listening, but yeah, I mean that. I think that what it is, whenever that we are always about the spoopy, because that, especially up in like your games, especially that you try to make it as comical as ever, but you still make your players scared shitless. You know, like just how like that town we had went to, we are like that. We did not feel safe not once. And you're into the woods. It's like you had drained us of our resources. You made us exhausted. Just how much actual horror would feel like.
Well, the big thing with like, and this is one of the things I was going to get to, and I'll ask the question here in a minute of you and Chris, is what horror movie is one of your favorites? And I'm always going to say the original Evil Dead, and followed up by the second Evil Dead. And because there's still horror elements in the second one, but the second one is definitely more of a comedy. But the comedy is also like you're laughing at some of the jokes in the Evil Dead series,
Mm-hmm.
or else you'd be screaming. Like the scene in the second Evil Dead when an eyeball lands in somebody's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's comical, that's silly, but at the same time, think about if like that happened in real life. Someone got their head squished and an eyeball went in your mouth. That'd
Mm-hmm.
be legit terrifying. So like that, there were silly moments, especially towards the end of when I did Into the Woods. But the biggest thing I wanted y'all to deal with was the scariest thing in that game was I gave y'all 2 rests.
Yeah.
Y'all were there 5 days and got maybe 12 hours of actual rest, and even then it was not really restful. Like, you end up with a husk in the jail cell with you. You
Meet
you
Larry.
you get attacked by mutant squirrels in the trees. You're in a cultist village and you might have to sleep, but there's also a hag.
Yeah.
So, and I put a lot of tropes in that, but the biggest thing y'all had to deal with in that game was I don't trust anything because the tree tried to eat me. I don't trust
And
anything because the river is more dangerous than just walking through the woods. Like,
well,
I didn't explain anything to y'all about how that world worked, which meant y'all were in an alien environment the entire time.
right. Right. And then I think then that that was the strength of your game, especially whenever everything had just like unraveled at the end because that of what like the basically like what Vapira had did to Jolan. I think then that that basically cemented like that the worst possible scenario of all horror movies is that the heroes start turning on each other and stuff. And then I think that you did an excellent job setting that up. Not to mention that even though then that she isn't here to explain it, I think then that helped out solidify that character dynamic between like Vapira and Jolan, especially of like that the first 5 minutes of like that the second Into the Woods,
Oh
where that we
boy.
are like at each other's throats, literally.
I feel like okay, so I am perfectly like comfortable saying that my Into the Woods was kind of a rip of Curse of Strahd in a way. I took a lot of inspiration from the idea of it like an area that is like a collection of very small villages
Mm-hmm.
with little things that are happening in them, and then like a big bad guy, which is basically Curse of Strahd. The difference is I didn't have like a big mega dungeon. I didn't want to do a mega dungeon personally, but God, like jumping in like straight into like my Into the Woods, it's like people were just like cutthroat from the beginning, and it was super good.
Well, that's I'll skip then I'll come back to it because well, you know what, do this quick and then jump to the other one. I've already mentioned my favorite horror movie is a tie between Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, and I know you could argue there's comedy, but not the first one. But those kind of influence what I like if I see a horror movie. Kind of like American Werewolf in London kind of hits some of those
Oh yeah.
vibes. I like the more, I guess it would be a horror black comedy, but just
I'm sorry, did that throw things off?
no, no, no. But real quick, like just a little blurb. Uh, Chris, what's your favorite horror movie that has influenced you on how you make things or do things for the game?
Uh, that's a hard question. Uh, well, my absolute favorite movie in general is Evil Dead 2: Dead by Dawn, the second movie in the Evil Dead franchise.
Yep.
Um, but things like Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, to an extent, like the first three Dead movies have really inspired me. Just in general of like tone and feel, not so much like people. I think look at those films and they're like, "Oh yeah, really cool dystopian zombie movies." It's like, well, there's more going on than that. I mean, George Romero wasn't like the deepest person, but there was like in Dawn of the Dead, there was stuff about racism,
Well, all the Night
consumerism,
of the Living
just
Dead did the same thing too. I mean that's part of
yeah,
like
yeah. And there's just like these underlying factors, and obviously I don't want to touch like racism in terms because I'm a white dude. I don't want to Like it's not for me to like delve into. Romero kind of got away with it because I mean he was a white dude in the 50s and 60s, but uh,
Are you trying to
but
are you trying to say Romero was woke, Chris?
well, I mean he was woke for his era,
Well, I mean,
like definitely.
I'm sorry. I've had
Yeah,
my
it's fine.
I've had family. I have family here while we have the baby helping out. So I get that words gets thrown to my way too much.
I
Go
I
ahead,
would say
Spence.
I would say that my favorite movies that I take inspiration from is that obviously that there are some parallels to like like Poltergeist sometimes, The
Oh,
Shining and
guys.
such, because I like to play with my character's mindset a lot, because everybody's favorite state trooper that
Can
she
I
is
tell you?
always just a busybody and such, but it is just basically that as far as the horror element goes, the I like the deception aspect of it a lot. Like, so
Yeah.
things are like that. The Thing, even though that the original Orphan movie is kind of problematic, I still that is one of the actual horror movies I can actually say that I can actually enjoy to watch without getting night terrors about, because that reveal at the end is just like, she's a what now, huh?
Can I tell
And
you
then the way
something?
that reveal just happened was just so good to me,
Hell yeah.
because
But
it is basically upsetting y'all's expectations about, like, everything is okay, but it slowly unravels, and then you're like, everything's not okay. And then that The Ring and other Japanese horror inspired, because folklore and stuff, and mainly that, and mainly like I Know What You Did Last Summer, urban legend and stuff like that is more suspense,
yeah.
because it's basically more grounded in reality. So I'm not dealing with the supernatural of just my overactive imagination that I had as a kid, and plus Scream. That's a classic movie.
Oh well, Scream is great because it is a like deconstruction of the slasher genre.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know they have like 6 movies now, but if you look at the original one, it's actually a commentary on like all of the old like slasher films before it. But I was gonna say, you want to know a weird fact about the Poltergeist movie?
Sure.
A lot of people know this already, but like the skeletons used at the end are actual skeletons.
Yeah,
They actually found.
they used
Mm-hmm.
actual human remains. Also, fun fact about the ending of the original The Thing. Do you know how
Mm-hmm.
you can tell which one of them is actually the Thing while they're drinking?
Okay, I might not know this, but
I
yeah, go
may not
ahead.
know this
Go
either.
back and watch it. Only one of them is producing cold breath.
Oh, I
Oh.
remember hearing about that. Yeah.
I went back and watched just the tail end of that. Like, okay, oh,
God, that's such a good fucking movie. Oh my god. I Okay, now I'm gonna go on like a talk about fucking horror movies. Like, if we're gonna talk about horror movies that inspired me, holy shit, The Thing, like, or They Live, holy shit. Um,
they wait. They Live is the one with Roddy Piper
yeah, it has Roddy
and
Piper.
has the
It,
longest fight scene in
it
a
ha-
horror
it,
movie.
it's not the longest fight scene. It's the best fight scene. It's the best fight scene ever. Like let's be real. Him and oh my god, it's Spawn. Spawn. He's fighting Spawn.
Oh, Michael J. White.
No, not Michael J. White. I'm talking about Spawn from the original. But that's a good fucking pull right there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh
Oh.
Spawn series. Oh my god, I can't believe Keith David. Why did I forget his name?
Oh, Keith
Keith
David.
David.
Yes.
This is the part of the podcast where Chris gets extremely excited.
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm talking about horror movies. They Live, super good. The Thing He's in the thing. I forget. He's in the Keith David's in the thing. He's at the end of the movie. What am I fucking? What the fuck is wrong with me? Oh my god.
I mean that. Oh, I just had the thought. I mean that honestly, that all of us have been having very good, spooky vibes and stuff. That we all have our own version of just horror and such like that. And then I know that that due to that the topic change that we have wanted to basically get a teaser or a blurb of like that the final installment of Into the
It's
Woods.
uh yeah, I was going to get to that. That was going to be how we ended everything out, Spence.
Gotcha.
I did have one more. Well, actually, I had two more questions to ask before that because we've definitely gone down the movie trail here, but
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's my
so
fault. I'm sorry.
it's okay. So, what I'll ask y'all, the first one is, what supernatural creature type intrigues you the most to use in a horror game, or you enjoy reading about the most? Like, which type of spooky creature is the one that really, if you were like, you would go down the rabbit hole reading information about them, or make sure to include them in a bunch of games because of how fun they can be, or how spooky or otherworldly they can be?
Oh, it's gonna feel such much like a cop out answer, but I go with that the liking that like lichens or else that the kitsune type that the shapeshifter type so much, because to me that the shapeshifter you can do so much with it. You can make them be good guy, you can make them be the baby face or else the heel, you can make them be like, oh hi guys, I'm just happily traveling along, and then that the players don't even realize it yet until like that the last moments that they are actually traveling with just the big bad evil evil with them the whole time and stuff, because that there is this one anime that does this so well that I'm not gonna spoil it. It is called that the Seven Flowers of just Roka. It does it so well. That was such a good use 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 of basically of the shapeshifter.
So yeah, my favorite sort of. Uh oh,
It's
I
just
heard a
my
phone.
phone.
Oh,
Continue.
okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Uh, so I guess mine's gonna be a slight cop out too. So I'm thinking of like I'm kind of thinking about the thing and thinking about the SCP Foundation and things like that. Um, Creatures, and to an extent, this goes into like Lovecraftian horror, where it's like creatures that like exist and have attributes, but you don't necessarily understand them all that well. Those are like kind of my favorite sort of rabbit holes to go down because, the thing about a vampire, it's like it can be scary. Like you can have vampires in in a scary situation. And there's really good vampire movies out there. Until Dark, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, fucking okay. Now I gotta look it up.
That Quentin Tarantino.
Oh,
Dust.
you're
Oh,
thinking From
Dust.
Dusk Till Dawn.
That is a great movie though.
That is a good movie. That is another. I'm thinking of the Bill Paxton movie. Until I think it's like Until Dark or something like that. Near
I
Dark.
believe so.
Which is a like movies like that take like deeply held convention and twist it can be fun, but my favorite monsters tend to be the ones that are just really unexplainable, and you don't like you and I tried to do this in my Incognita or Monster of the Week games, where it's like you vanquish the monster but you don't know if it's gone, sort of situation, which is something I really love. because I think that's a really scary notion. And it's something that's like pervasive through a lot of the horror I like. Again, going back to Evil Dead 2, like the book itself, the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon, is like you read from it, and technically you can vanquish the the Deadites through reading again and trying to find the right passages. But you don't really know what the fucking Deadites are gonna do. It's pure chaos. The second movie is just pure
It's
fucking chaos.
and it's so great.
It's so great, and it's one of the biggest criticisms I had of the 2013 film. I haven't seen the newest one, but
I've had
you
that
don't
one.
know what the
I've had that one ruined for me too, and it's kind of setting up like a very large Evil Dead universe that connects
I
back.
don't like that. I just like my Evil Dead. You know what?
What I'm
We'll
saying
see what
is,
happens.
it's kind of connecting back to like you
Okay,
don't where is Ash, and the answer to that is yes, because of
okay, so
it gets into some like
yeah, it gets some wacky shit.
it gets into some weird shit, and he's coming back to play Ash Williams in a future movie.
Okay, well, I thought he was done, but yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense.
He was done, but he is rumors are he is signed to do like Old Man Ash showing up for something.
Damn. Hey, Artek. Anyway, but like that sort of feeling, like you don't know really what's going on. You might know how it started. You might know a little bit on how to stop it, and you might stop it, but you don't know exactly what's going on. And I think that's what's like. I know this kind of cop out, Hewitt, because you're talking about specific monsters, but
No, this is great. This is your opinion. Like
yeah,
my,
like just that little nugget of like what the fuck is going on? I don't know. And we might not never know. Or might not ever know. And it's the same thing with the Dawn of the Dead, going back to that.
the bet
Like
the,
people don't know why the dead are rising again.
that's
They have
the best zombie movies never explain why zombies are here.
yeah. Like some people
Right.
do like, you know, they try and do like a supernatural thing or a virus. It's never explained in the Dead trilogy.
It's
It
just
just
they're here.
happens.
Now, my favorite supernatural creatures, and y'all have played in enough of my games, and I throw them out regularly because they are some of the most terrifying things to me, and that's the Fae.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
And
fairies, yeah.
I'm going with well, I'm not saying just fairies because everybody has a misconception, like they think of Tinkerbell
Yeah.
when you mention fairies, but
Right.
the Fae, especially when you get to the Unseelie. Oh, hold on, guys. I gotta help real quick. Be right back. Uh,
Okay.
Okay.
Spence,
Okay.
just
We can banter.
start talking
Easy.
about your game.
Okay. So then what I have in store for y'all to wrap up Into the Woods is going to be a culmination of all of the adventures we have played through so far. But the blurb is that I do want somebody to be part of the original of that the original first two games we had played. Somebody has to reprise a role. Y'all are going to be level 10. I know that much.
So if I play like fuck
Madrid.
Madrid, I knew her name. So if I play her, I'm good. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing that I will say is that I kind of hinted at it a bit last year before that we did the Curse of Stride thing was that the main idea is going to be kinship in a sense, where that y'all will be contacted by one of Jolan's daughters, and there will be a hunting game. But Jolan is nowhere to be found. because somehow that the undead halfling or whatever he is has survived, or did he? We don't know. But I really do hope that the way that I set it up is going to be unique in a sense for me about not trying to basically be as handholdy and try to get out of that give just everything to the players, like Japanese RPG style, and try to basically let y'all discover what is really going on behind the scenes here.
Hell yeah. I'm down for that.
I came in the tail end of it, and I am as well. I had to make a bottle.
Oh, then
So
that's
wait,
fine.
is this going to
hmm
be an online or in-person game?
I would prefer it to be in person, but if we have to do online, so be it.
Yeah, it's unfortunately the TBA North studio is still currently figuring out what we can and can't do here soon. But I mean, she'll be 2 months by that point, so we might we'll see.
Hmm. We'll see. That's
What-
fine.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Show
We will
might
see.
actually bring back Madrid on that point, or I might actually pull back my Paladin because I never got to play the Paladin because I bought a house.
Right.
I might have to bring back my I don't even know if I have my Owl's character sheet no more.
I mean that either way it goes, that as much as that I would love NASA to bring back Vapira, just for just at the sure just acting of it, of just being, I can just already hear it now, just be like, Joline, well, what the hell does he want? And all of that.
I'd have to,
Oh,
But
if I bring back if she were to bring back Vipura, I would have to bring back.
you know what? If Madrid and uh
Preacher,
Vipira and Preacher show back up, I'll show up like as playing a was it Reborn or the undead version? Like, hey guys, I'm back now too. It's
oh
Oh god.
God, no, just bring just Larry into.
it's Larry. I'm back, guys. It's been weird. Like the world got destroyed. Y'all killed me, and then like I woke up, and like the world got destroyed. So I woke up, and then like I've been on some zany adventures. Do you know what an illithid is? They put a worm in me and got it died because like no
Oh
brain.
God,
just
but
I will
on
I will do that if y'all can if you bring back everybody
It's
else.
still in here.
I will like all of a sudden just pull out this like one dead little illithid tadpole. Hi, I'm Larry Jr.
but I will probably end up be that I just will say this, that I will be also utilizing not sanity in a sense, but I feel like that the way that I am mapping it out is that I am going to steal a little bit of Monster of the Week here and use that their countdown timer in a sense, because something is going to happen.
Oh
Nice.
hell
Actually,
yeah.
check out Blades in the Dark for the clock function.
Mm.
The clock function in the game is really nice.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to be using for my extra life game too.
No, they have that in Scum and Villainy.
Mm-hmm. Because
Nice.
Blades in the Dark and Scum and Villainy are very
Well,
close.
it's all Power by the Apocalypse influenced. But that is going to be dope. But
But yeah, then that, and also just not to shield my own, that that the Monster of the Week game that I'm planning, I am going to do what I have been doing, is basically do just like shorthand notes and try not to make a massive narrative. Even though that this story is going to be a one shot, it could easily fit into the overall entity Killer Tales for just what I got
I'll,
just for Extra Life, because Houston, we do have a problem.
Oh
uh,
god, I need to make characters.
do me a favor, Spence. Send me a little blurb, and I'll try to make you a video ad, like I've done one for the 3 filler games I've got. Because
Okay,
I've claimed and also claim a time over on the TBA server if you haven't already, and I just missed it. Uh,
okay,
but I guess to finish up what I was saying is that the reason the Fae are so scary to me is because they're human adjacent. More so than like a vampire, because a vampire depending on what you go with, it looks like a human and it eats you, or it's a walking corpse. The Fae to
Or
me,
it's like a bat thing.
or it's a weird bat guy.
Hmm.
But the Fae are uncanny valley to the extreme. Like if you read how any of them hunt humans or how any of them do anything, as long as they're not a bestial style Fae, they literally look just enough like a human until you get too close. Like the Kelpie or the Banshee or the Lananshi. Uh, those are fun to me because if you throw them at people, they could fool you for a hot minute and then it be too late. Like in the last one of the second to last episode of the exposition, y'all dealt with the Lananshi. And that's the other thing I
Yeah.
love about the Fae is if you ever put the in front of the name, which is a very old English way of doing things, like you good, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good.
Did you
Sorry,
fall?
I was moving around.
But like you
My
would
my chair is very squeaky.
like it's an old English thing, and you even see it like in like you see it even like in Game of Thrones, like there is the Karstark or the Tall John or Long John. Uh, if you put or like Ned is the Stark, the head of the household or the head of the family is always the and the title. So and that's available. That's in the Fae. Like there are Kate Sith. There are all these Fae cats, but then there is the Kate Sith.
Mm-hmm.
And there is, you know, that is a okay, don't mess with it if it has the in front of the name. And you're dealing with an idea that I like with some monsters is that there are some monsters you can't kill. There are things that you can stand before that there is no way you can destroy. You can just banish them. And that kind of goes back to what you were saying, Chris, of did you beat it, but is it going to come back?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's one of the things I like with the Fae because they're so old. I mean, and if you go far enough back in some of the Fae, you get to like the concept of the old gods that definitely influence like Lovecraft and stuff. And that, like that whole group of creatures provides with just so much stuff. And the fact that people still legitimately believe in them. Like I think 60% of the people in Iceland still believe in elves and don't mess with them. Like,
I mean,
to be fair,
if I lived in Iceland or Greenland for that matter, I'd be pretty. Because like they don't have a lot of crime, but they have a lot of disappearances.
yeah, it's kind of like Appalachia. I don't believe in like I'll put it this way, like the break it down with all the supernatural stuff. I don't necessarily believe it, but I'm not going to investigate it to be proven wrong because that's how people go vanish and go bye bye. Like this is how you end like with the
Same.
was it the 411 in the wood type stories?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, 411. Missing 411. Yeah.
Yeah, like weird stuff happens at the edge of society where the old and the new barely touch, and sometimes things show up that shouldn't. That's how I
Right.
put it. I don't necessarily believe in the things that shouldn't show up, but I'm not saying that they're not. I've seen weird shit. I can't explain it.
Oh yeah.
I choose not to think about it too much. But in any case, uh, some rapid questions before I also pitch a game that I want to run in October, whenever. Because Spence, is it going to be a one shot or a 2-3 shot for your Into the Woods?
Probably gonna be a probably. I can easily make it a 3 shot or else a 2 shot. I can easily make it that.
Just let me know because I also have a game idea I'll pitch at the end of it to see if y'all
Okay.
like it. But some rapid questions here. So, uh, first one, gore or suspense?
Suspense.
God, that's a hard question. I like. Okay.
Quick question, quick answer, Chris. Gut feeling, gut feeling.
Gore.
Okay. Undead or aliens?
Undead.
Undead.
Ghost or ghost or monster?
Ghost.
Ghost.
Vincent Price or Bela Lugosi?
Fuck you.
Ah.
I,
Vincent Price.
I'm Vincent Price. That man terrified me as a child.
Only because I have more I have more exposure to Vincent Price's movies because I watch like the 60s and 70s movies along with like some of the 90s movies he did before he died. Specifically Edward Scissorhands, but
Oh God, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, did that awaken a memory?
What Bela Lugosi or Vincent Price, Spence?
I gotta go with Vincent Price.
All right. So, which is the better Dracula? Oh God, I just blanked on his name. Give me a second. I got. No, no,
Christopher
no,
Reeve.
no, no, no,
Wait, not
no, no,
Christopher
no,
Reeve. That's a
hold on,
different person.
hold on. I was going to give you options
Okay, well, yeah, go ahead.
because I just blanked on the actor's name.
I said Superman, so
Yeah.
it's okay.
Okay, who's the better Dracula, Christopher Lee or Gary Oldman?
Gary, oh, you fucking asshole!
Hey,
Good God, Gary Oldman.
Oh no!
I'm Christopher Lee all the way on that one.
Oh, give me a second.
No, quick answer. The gut,
Oh,
Chris.
fuck
The gut.
you. Okay, Christopher Lee, I guess. Fuck.
Okay.
But Oldman, okay, this is what I'll say. Oldman is a fucking good actor. He is better than Johnny Depp. Fuck Johnny Depp. Toss him in a well. Like Oldman, good.
Did Johnny Depp play Dracula?
No, but everyone they compare the two.
Oh
Often.
no, he did play the Dracula in What We Do in Shadows thing that came back. All right. Not What We Do in Shadows. It was the one that was the 70s TV series that was whatever. Okay.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He sucks.
Okay. Shaun of the Dead or Walking Dead?
Shaun of the Dead. That's
Oh,
easy.
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead. The original or the remake of Day of the or Dawn of the Dead?
The original.
Original.
Okay. Last one. Spooky campfire story or true crime?
Oh, my two loves. True crime, because I only listen to true crime a lot more.
You know, I love like as problematic as true crime can be. I kind of have to go with true crime as well.
I'm the odd man out here. I'm a spooky camp story all the way. Okay, so here's the pitch I got for y'all for a Monster of the Week game that I would like to run in October, either with Spence's game running or after Spence's game is done. Because it y'all know me. I am good at making a one shot into like a campaign. So the concept is that there have been a series of deaths in the city of New Orleans. They are unexplained. Several people there are multiple symptoms, but the main one that seems to be consistent across is people have been bleeding from the eyes, the nose, and the ears and corner of their mouth. Security footage does not seem to catch what has been happening. The only evidence that you have is that on someone's Ring doorbell before it's shorted out, you hear a little voice asking if I can come in. And you are hired by the NOPD to figure out what's going on because they have no clue.
I am getting chills already thinking about that because it's like, God, oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I'm down for it.
I am
Cool.
down for that.
I will make my 1 page of notes and then consult my long list of stupid names. Like you might get to meet Phil Harmonica.
You know that I was like yesterday years old whenever that I had found out that Dinkelberg was basically that was just basically a joke about double just income, no kids. I'm like, oh, that makes sense now.
I learned that tonight. So before we move into anything else, is there a podcast along these lines that you would recommend to anybody that's listening?
I mean, not along these lines, but if you're like looking for something like horror related or urban legend related, there's a big podcast out there, much bigger than anything we are. Lore. Lore is a very good podcast. That's just
Lore is nice.
there are some other ones out there, but that's the one that comes to mind, and I didn't have anything pulled up right now. So,
I
or
would like
hey,
to.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, Spencer's. This isn't a podcast, but go watch Watcher. Also, much bigger than us. But if you love ghost hunting, they have Ghost Files. Really good. It has a skeptic and a believer. Like it's really fun. Anyway, I'm sorry, Spence. Go ahead.
It's okay. For podcast format, I have to go with that this Monster of the Week podcast I have been listening to called the Storyteller Squad. That they kind of like forego a lot of the mechanics, not necessarily like removing them completely, but then that the story is just so engrossing, and then it has a mixture of all of our storytelling styles into one. So if you want a nice like that the spooky, oh my god, like I never seen a spooky done so well that the way that they have done with this character, and woo, it just has some good like vibes to it all around. And then that if that you want anything that's spooky related and stuff going, a video called a YouTube channel called Explore with Josh is very good to watch. Watching stuff that he has been getting more up until like that the ghost hunting scene and stuff like that. And whenever that he had like went to go explore this town that was like that was basically like infected with this chemical spill, that it
Ooh.
was like right out of like Resident Evil 4, that the town that they were driving through, of like that this old country town, of like that these people are like staring at these modern people like, we want you to leave and get the fuck out of here with your cameras. We don't want you here. It
That
was
is
that vibes.
that
Just so
is
good.
that is so much of this country, though.
Man, and if we really wanted to talk about something spooky, we could just talk about like places you never want to fucking visit in North
Don't
America.
don't go into
Don't.
don't go into a holler in West Virginia unless you know somebody who lives there.
Yeah, exactly. Or like shit, me and Ruby like traveled through like Texas, and I was like, we're just gonna go. We're not gonna stop here. Uh, this place doesn't look safe. We're just gonna go right through.
Yeah, West Texas.
Driving down that like one of the back roads because I didn't feel like going on the interstate at night. Never again. Nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah.
Nope.
I'm going to recommend two podcasts, and I think both of y'all would kind of dig them. One of them's called Graveyard Tales.
Oh,
Uh,
I think I know that one.
one of the guys is from Tennessee, the other one's from Texas, and they both used to both be in Tennessee. But it's one of those podcasts I can go back and listen to some of the old ones, but I mostly listen to the new ones that are coming out because it's been so long since I've listened to some of the old ones that now like stuff I listened to a year ago or 2 years ago is no longer listed as listened to. So if I scroll all the way back to the beginning, I might have actually listened to that podcast and disappoints me when all of a sudden it's like, oh, I did
You know
listen.
what I do when that happens to me?
What?
I still listen to it. I can't say, like, I can't lie.
It,
Like,
it's
and just
some of them I could, but a lot of them I can't. The actually I'll recommend three. The next one is That's Why We Drink. I am all about the ghost stories, and I have started back at the beginning, and I'm going through because there's only like 200 something episodes, which is much more doable than like when someone has like 500-600. Like I don't want to. I'm not chopping off a piece of One Piece right here to try to start anything. When I look at a new podcast, but I really like anything that M does with the ghost stories, and there's only been one so far I didn't already know, which let me know how jaded I am because like I'm like the most wonder bread out of any of us in the group for the most part, and I'm realizing how much weird spooky stuff I've listened to that everyone else I know has already heard, and like all of a sudden it's like normal people start talking about it like it's like, have you heard of a place called the Myrtles? I'm like, and the next person, no, son of a
Have
bitch.
you heard of Waverly Hills Sanitarium?
That one they did, but like they also couldn't pronounce La Laurie.
Oh, was it like
Lalaurie?
Lalaurie
They
or
said
something?
La Laurie.
Lalaurie? Oh
Uh,
God.
but thing is, dude, we live in Louisiana, and even though I don't
Right.
speak French and I half-ass pronounce it, it's we still like kind of understand what the accent aigu somewhere means. But then the
I
Mm-hmm.
still
last one,
pronounces, yeah.
last one I'll recommend is Spooked by the people who do Snap Judgment. They get people to tell their own ghost stories, and some of them are legit scary. Other ones are not. But like one dude who was talking about dealing with a Nagloshi, a skinwalker, that got spooky quick. Cause like I've heard like Emily follows a TikTok called "Shit from the Res," and legit, there's stuff out there that don't make sense. And
God, there are things like you're like in terms of like Native American tales, I wouldn't feel comfortable covering,
yeah, no,
but reading about
uh,
is this.
reading about or watching, yes. Talking about or like, I'm going to do a breakdown on this. No, because I need to do a lot more research. But also, there's a lot of stuff that they believe in that the more you say it, it shows the hell up and doesn't matter where you at. So
Mm-hmm.
no, it's the reason
Mm-hmm.
why we call it we say Wendy's instead of something else around this household. Um,
Mm-hmm.
again, don't believe, but don't want to be proven wrong.
Right.
I am a I am skeptical, but I am also superstitious. Um, which doesn't really fully make sense now that I say that out loud. Any case, so those are some recommendations, but let's see. We've already gone to an hour and a half, so I think we'll forego doing uh,
Insight check.
insight check tonight because this was fun. This was a really good one, guys. I really like this one, and I don't mind that we went over time with this one because everybody was actually really down and really into this. This has been fun.
I wasn't. I hated it.
Shut up, Chris. You're
I
lying.
mean that
I'll,
I
I'll
liked
go
it
and
too. That
no, I
as like
actually do like
kind of
it.
like that the non-horror buff, but I know my urban legends and my supernatural stuff from the Eastern stuff a little bit, so it was fun.
So let's see. Our socials are we are Team Bonus Action here on Twitch, on Facebook, on YouTube, and I believe on Instagram. We are at bonus underscore team on Twitter because I refuse to acknowledge the name change. And we should have something on Blue Sky sometime soon. You can also
Yeah,
we can also find us at our lovely website created by Frecky V, teambonusaction.com. We are moving from unfortunately the literacy charity that we were doing for now kind of got hit by also pregnancy and not streaming. We are starting to move into the extra life season, so here soon when we come back you will notice the extra life donation buttons and everything up, because the last portion of the year we partner with Extra Life to donate to Batson's Children in Jackson, as well as the Miracle or the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals, because no parent should ever have to choose between paying bills, getting food, and paying for their children's medical bills. So if we can make the world suck a little bit less and deal with the hellscape that is our insurance and medical industry and make it better for people, especially with dealing with their kids, we're going to do it. Because
hell yeah. Think about this when it comes to our medical system. For every one doctor, there's at least like 5 people that have to administrate like the insurance side of it. So we're bloated. People need help.
Mm-hmm.
It's always good to donate.
Yeah,
so
Not to us necessarily, just to make sure people can take care of their kids.
yeah.
right. And then that a happy child is a happy parent, and then that is always good to always do it for the kiddos.
All right, so I think that's all that. Schedule wise, we are still up in the air. There won't be any Holy Winds, or I don't think we'll have any Redwell uh, just yet. Maybe another week or so on that. I think.
Yeah.
Holy Winds is going to come back when M is ready. Because she will have.
The Redwell, I'm looking at doing soonish. Soon could be anywhere within a couple of weeks to a month.
Cool. Just let me know, because once M is okay with streaming more, like this was just kind of easing back in. And
Oh yeah, definitely.
And we'll do Kitchen Table next Sunday. But we'll ease back in, and once I'll let y'all know when I can resume streaming responsibilities. But let's see. We got that. So also keep an ear out. Topher and I are going to be working on some type of spoopy thing here. He and I got to we have ideas. We need to make sure those ideas make sense. So we will let y'all know when that's coming out. And we will definitely be doing a lot for Extra Life, which will be November 3rd through the 5th. We are probably going to actually hit the 24 hours of games, guys. So
I can't wait. I'm excited for this year.
It's going to be a hoot. So just thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. And thank you for catching this on YouTube later if you do. And guys, since Knox is not here, don't let your meat low. Thank you for tuning in to another Bonus Roundtable podcast brought to you by Team Bonus Action. If you'd like to find more out about us, you can go to our website at teambonusaction.com, or you can check us out on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube as Team Bonus Action, or on Twitter at bonus_team. And since Knox is not here, don't let your meat loaf.